Hey everyone, this is Christian Heimel, host of Press Row. Thanks so much for listening to the following broadcast, courtesy of Public House Media.
This is Liz Colburn, host of The Morning Uplift here on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you are done with this episode, I hope you'll come back and check out my show, The Morning Uplift, where we talk about finding your beauty in the journey. A new show comes out twice a month on the first and third Mondays. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you never miss an episode of The Morning Uplift. Thank you again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Hey, tribe of Rewritten. It's Rewrite Your Story Day. I'm Julianne. I'm your host. And I have something so on my heart that I cannot wait to share with you. So much of this podcast is honestly my life lessons, things that I'm learning, things that I'm going through, things I have been through. And I just think life is one big learning opportunity. I think that life has so many beautiful moments, so many times that our pain can be used for good. Our struggles can be used to grow and connect with other people. And this podcast is that. I just want to share not so much just wisdom, but I just want to share my heart and my observations, things that people have taught me, and ways that and moments that have shaped my life. And I just truly believe that the life that we live, the heart that we have, the breath that we take, we're miracles. We are walking miracles. And so many people sleepwalk through life that their number one goal is to binge watch TV. Their mission is to tear people down because hurt people, right? And I just don't think that living bitter brews blessing. I don't think that putting others down gives us confidence. And I just think that we're all just trying to figure out life. This is our first time at it for every single one of us. And if we could just use our story for the good and stop feeling sorry for ourselves, playing victim, trying to get attention in ways that are not ever going to serve you, I just think that we can unleash this potential to impact and lead lives that inspire and empower and show other people what they're truly capable of being and becoming. That the way we act, the way we treat people is just a complete reflection of how we feel about ourselves. And I just appreciate you tuning in and being a part of this podcast, because I honestly just want it to be a movement of action, a movement of gratitude, a movement of loving others harder, and just discovering what it is that you're capable of becoming. That life is a series of lessons. Life is just so incredible. And if we can get out of our own heads, treat people with love, the most amazing things can happen. That doesn't mean we're going to never have pain or be able to avoid hardship. It's quite the opposite. But I just think that with our mindsets, being able to see life for what it is, that it's happening for us, that it can just teach us so much. You know, I was reading in a book and there was a quote, and it says, God doesn't see people the way I see them. The ones that I see as problems, God sees as sons and daughters, made in his image. The ones I see as difficult, he sees as delightfully different. God knows we're easily confused and often wayward, and he pursues us with love anyway. It will happen at the ground level of grace. God wants me to love the ones I don't understand, to get to know their names, to invite them to do things with me, to go and find ones everyone has shunned and turned away. I also think, just in my own words, I think that God is calling us to restore and deal with things. I think that we as a society, we've become so good at avoiding and distancing, and my friend Shelly will put it as this, is putting fences up. Back in the day, everybody knew their neighbors, and now everyone just wants privacy. And they watch from a distance. I wonder what would happen if we just invited people in and resolved things. The people who are putting up arm's length away, creating these barriers because you might have had a miscommunication is not a healthy way to live. So a strength of mine is critical conversations. People hate them, people avoid them, so they ghost and they pretend like nothing happened and they just move on and they just keep going and get rid of that person. And for me, as soon as I feel distance or there's a barrier put up, or I can tell that someone's irritated and they're being a little bit passive aggressive. Passive aggressiveness is just, it's like nails on a chalkboard for me. I can't stand it. I just don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's a good defense mechanism. I know that that person's hurting and they want me to feel the way that they're feeling, or if they're annoyed or whatever. I just don't like it. I just don't think that it's a way to handle however you feel. And so I want to teach you about critical conversations, because I think with rewriting your story, this is a pivotal moment for you, that maybe you've been on either end. Like you've been the person to distance, ghost, not address things. Like if someone does something wrong, someone does something hurtful, you completely get rid of them in your life. I've had a best friend do this to me. Completely wrote me out of her life. And to this day, I still have no idea why. So I want to talk to you about that. I want to talk to you about how to deal with that. What if you do pursue someone and try to resolve something with them and they shut you out anyway? We're not perfect, and that's for sure. And people are going to let you down. I think there's this perspective that people, if you have good relationships, that it should be all good. Like your best friends are going to hurt you. Like they're going to disagree with you. And I think that's going to help you. So maybe you've been shunned. Maybe you've had someone completely write you off. Maybe you've done that to someone else. Maybe you've distanced yourself from someone. I've done both. I've been a part of both. So critical conversations doesn't mean that I'm not scared to have them, or my heart races when I have them, but I like it. I just have this perspective of, and I always say this, like even in marriage, where I think our hardest days are the days that grew us. Eric and I having to deal with some demons or deal with the past. I think something about Eric and I that, is special is that we honestly know some really hard things about each other. And we have loved each other through it. I mean hard. Things that I don't think spouses would want to talk about. And I'm grateful for that. We've had to address that and deal with that. But I think that made us. I think that's why we do have the relationship that we have, is because we don't want to have secrets. It's so painful to address secrets. Secrets love to live in darkness. Conflict loves to live in darkness. And if you can bring it to light and you can just view conflict and struggle with some gratitude, I think it will change your outlook on it. Again, I think that's what grows relationships. I think that's what makes relationships so strong and incredible and wonderful. And I want to speak to you about this. So with critical conversations, I think it's really important to not be defensive and emotional. I think if someone has done something wrong to me, I'll vent for sure. But what I'm saying is don't vent to them or some person. I think you should just, maybe a spouse, just someone that's really close with you that is not going to have an opinion about it. In fact, it's just, you don't need to have an opinion about it. You just need to get it off your chest. But going to that person with the conflict is really it's really vital that you're not emotionally hijacked, so you might have to give yourself some time. I recently had a chat with a friend, and she was telling me some really hard things to hear. And I said, I need to call you back. I need to think about this. And she said, okay. And I did. And I thought about it, and I just needed time. I needed time to process what had just been said, and then called her back, and we worked through some things. And I feel like we won together. We won, and we became closer because of it. So when I hear if someone is talking about me and I'm not around, gosh, doesn't that just stink? It does. I think positive gossip rocks. I love being around people who uplift other people when they're not there. It just shows so much about their character. And when people can just uplift others and even when they're not there, like especially women and spouses, man, when you can talk so highly of your husband when he's not there, that just is so remarkable to me. It's amazing. So when I hear something said about me and I'm not there, I don't play games. I go straight to the source. I say, hey, I need to talk to you. I've been hearing this, and I have to tell you it's a bit of a disappointment and struggle, or, whatever you're feeling about it, knowing that this is being said, and I just really want to talk to you about it. I love you enough. I want to talk to you about it. Maybe it's a boss. What I would do is I would go to them and I'd say and be honest, I love working for you. I love this mission we're a part of, and it's just so heavy on my heart. I respect you so much that I need to talk to you about something that's making me feel uncomfortable. And I think when you're going into conflict conversation, there has to be this understanding that there shouldn't be an expectation, which is kind of hard, because if someone's wronged you, you're wanting them to admit that they've wronged you, and they may not. And so when you're going into this conversation, it's so important that you handle it in love and respect without needing that sorry piece at the end. And I just think that's the cherry on top when there is that at the end, but that's not really why you're having it. I think working through and addressing hard things together makes you stronger, and it's really incredible. So I go straight to the source. I try to be as logical as possible, not to raise my voice, and not to use all of these defense mechanisms, bringing ammo into the fight, because I don't want it to be a fight. I want it to be a conversation. So I think people can bring up things from the past, use things against each other. And I just try really hard not to. And you guys, I've lost my cool. I have gotten emotionally hijacked, and I never feel good after those conversations. I feel my best with critical conversations when I'm calm, confident, and loving, and handling things in love. There's something that I learned at my church, and it was a message that was given, and it was about people and not points. Just because you don't have to prove your point to anybody, but you don't have to change your opinion either. So you can still have your opinion, but it doesn't really matter if that person chooses to agree with you or not. That's not the point. The point is to love the person. So if this person matters enough to you, you can go to them and resolve it. So I really invite you to think about, who do you need to resolve something with? And so going back to, my best friend, who I felt like wrote me out, what do? I think if you try to address it and they're not willing to hear you, honestly, that's a time for you just to be like, okay, there's not a mutual respect. I'm wanting to work through this and they're not, and there's not much you can do. I think it might be exhausting trying so hard to continue to try to fight for something, but you have to understand that someone has to meet you the other way too. That's how relationships work. It's two-sided. And if you're the one that's constantly, taking ownership for everything and always trying to address it, and there isn't ownership on that other side, I really invite you to evaluate that relationship. And you might have to just continue to move on. I was talking to my friend about this as well, that maybe someone wronged you and you're addressing it, or they're addressing it. And I think there's a couple of things that you need to look for when you've been wronged. is that person taking ownership? And are they remorseful? Are they willing to create boundaries for whatever it was? And, or are they, on the other end, are they blaming and making excuses and not taking ownership? If they're on that side, that's telling me that they have not fully comprehended what had just happened, that they're not willing to really process and work through, because we have, as humans, all have coping mechanisms and defense mechanisms to help us not feel. And that might be one of them. They're dodging it. They're not trying to go a layer deep because it will bring back memories of their past, maybe. So it's really important that you look at that. Are they willing to work through it? Are they willing to do this? And at the same thing, are you willing to do that in certain conversations? And, excuses don't make it better. When you've wronged someone and you make an excuse about it, it's almost like an extra dagger. Just take the ownership without the excuse. Say, I was wrong. It's not okay that I said that. And I am so sorry. And I love you and I appreciate you. And I'm glad we can work through this. And thank you for bringing this to my attention. I really need you and help with this. And just owning it, you're going to feel so much better. Hurt people, but you want to know something. Forgiven people forgive people. And I just need you to know we all mess up. We're all sinners. People are going to wrong you. You're going to wrong others. But if you can just own it and deal with it, your relationship will get so much stronger. Instead of being a part of this society that ghosts and avoids and writes off, it's not healthy. So I hope that this spoke to you in some way. Critical conversations, if you can just look at them as a chance to grow and improve your relationships, I think you're going to want to have them. And again, you need to be calm and you need to just address it as hard as it is. But if you truly love that person, that means everything. Now, lastly, conflict resolution when it comes to trolls or haters or naysayers on social media. For me, critical conversations happen with people I respect and they know me. Like, I know them. It's not someone from a distance that's on social media that all they want to do in life is show a reflection of how they feel by hurting others, because it's easier to do that through a computer screen. I don't waste my time. I don't feed into that. I don't respond back. I delete, block, whatever. And I just need you guys to know that there has to be a limit to that, because that could be emotionally exhausting. But I just am grateful that you're willing to listen to this, because I really think that this could improve you rewriting your story with the relationships that you have. And the reason I can say that is because it's done a fabulous job in my life of really growing through hard times with the people in my life. So thank you for listening. I appreciate you. And I just hope that you have the best day.